Hello, everybody, and welcome back. You had the test last week. I hope it wasn't too disheartening. Try to be fair about it. So now we have chapters 25 through 27. Division 4. We're getting near the end of this long, thick textbook. Mass communication. What is mass communication? That's communication where you talk to a whole bunch of people at once. Just like it sounds. It could be on the radio, it could be on the television, it could be on a podcast, on a YouTube video, uh, publication in the newspaper or magazine, anything to get the word out to a bunch of people. And the first part of this division is about media and culture. And culture is my favorite subject. So, what are we talking about? And the book goes into postmodernism. Postmodern is a period of time when the promise of modernization no longer exists or seems justified. Are we in that era now to you? I mean, when I was young, which I know according to y'all that was ancient times that they had chariots and all that other stuff, but you know, I figured we're in space and we have computers and what more can happen. But it has happened, it has changed. So we have become the tools of our tools, and it's really true because and we do in every society, every culture. The things, the tools that we like the most, use the most, those are the ones that we end up becoming very good with, and then we use those all the time. And then it turns out that like my cell phone, neat little thing here. I think it's great. I can communicate to the world, but on the other hand, it seems like every time I try to do something, it's ringing, and I have to answer it because of certain positions I have, and it's somebody trying to sell me something, and it just gets frustrating. In postmodernism, any claim of proof or moral certainty is suspect. Think about that. I mean, nowadays, all you hear are these conspiracy theories, and it's hard to tell what's true and what's not true. I got an email the other day about a possible job, and so I started questioning it. Well, is it really? Because I didn't apply for a job, so is it really somebody headhunting me? Which made me feel good. But on the other hand, it's kind of like, what's the catch? What are they after? Is this a scam? So, we start questioning everything. And images are more important than what they represent. Um, Being an old soldier, the flag is an image that what it represents is very deep in my heart and soul. But I've seen a lot of people that have them on the back of their trucks and they're driving down the road and they get all rattling and tattling and everything else, ragtag and it's like what they're trying to say is I'm patriotic is more important than that symbol to them because they let it get all nasty and tore up. An age of individuality instead of community. We used to focus on making the community better. And now there's a lot of finger pointing, Oh man, don't go to South Columbus. Why not? Oh, it's bad in South Columbus. You ever been there? No, but it's bad down there. I grew up in South Columbus. I go there back occasionally. Now that mom's passed, I don't have much of a reason to. But it's not as bad as the media and the public portray it to be, especially since, 90% of them haven't been there. And it used to be, you made profit in what you produced. Now, who makes all the money? Information is where the money's at nowadays. It's not in what is produced. It's who knows what is being produced. It's who knows what stock is going to change when. You know, that insider trading stuff. So people get rich now with information. You know, they go on your whatever social media you're on. They collect your data and they sell it to somebody. So they can call you and try to sell you stuff. So let's get into chapter 25. Media ecology. We are a symbolic environment. And the symbolic environment is socially constructed. Uh, we talked many times that we are in a socially constructed society. We call this a desk because we call it a desk. We constructed that word. But the symbolic environment is a socially constructed sensory world of images. It's not necessarily what this word is or what that word is, which are symbols, don't get me wrong. But you know what this means? Peace. Well, in some countries, like English, Australia, that type of stuff, this is peace, but this is basically the same thing as this. So it's how is it seen in that culture? And by the way, George Bush did that when he was in Australia, trying to say peace, but nobody told him not to turn his hand around. So he didn't know what he was doing, and he kind of insulted a whole bunch of people. The medium is the message. How we get that information is the message often. You know, when I love the example in the book when a guy has a crush on a girl, when he gets a text from her, he smiles without even reading the text because he got a text from her. So he's getting a message because the medium used. When my kids text me, it's nothing important. I know that. When they call me, it's like, oh hell, what's going on? So it's, the medium actually contains a message in itself. Media, the technology that causes communication to be faster, broader, um, quicker, get it out, more information to more people. The medium is the specific type of technology used: newspaper, uh, video, a vlog, a blog, an email. What is it? How's it going out? That is the medium. What type of media did you use? The tribal age relied on hearing, smelling, and taste more than sight. You couldn't always see. The book gives a good example: a wild animal sneaking up on you because they're going to come from behind. So you had to rely on what you could hear and what you could smell and what you could taste, more so than you had to rely on what you could see. And a lot of people, excuse me, ask me, well, since you lost your sight, is your hearing better? No. People without sight or limited sight rely on their hearing more, therefore they're more attuned to it, but the hearing itself is not better. I mean, I have to have hearing aids now because of my time around all the things that went boom. So the book breaks down different ages, and it says the tribal age, we didn't rely on our sight as much. And then the age of literacy, vision became the dominant sensory organ. They posted a bill in the town square, and you had to go read the bill. Of course, there's a lot of people that still couldn't read back then, so it would get read to them. But it wasn't, everything wasn't passed out verbally anymore. It was passed out in writing. And then the print age came along, and they had mass-produced books. Now we have, typeset, we can make books, we can print things, we can get out a whole bunch of them to a whole bunch of different people. And the print age started isolating people. So instead of everybody standing around listening to somebody talk, or everybody standing around reading what was posted on the town wall somewhere, now we can all have our own to read. So it made us become more isolated. Now we have the electronic age and instant communication with sight and sound. You had the telegraph, which is about as instant you could get back then radio, and then TV, and now we have our internet and all of our video things on it, and computer and the web, and it's everywhere. But that's the next age. A global village is basically, I like the way the book described it. It's like there's no privacy. Everyone knows your business, and you know everybody else's. It used to be what happened in this little village, nobody knew about except the people in that village. They all knew. And it wasn't like we had to find out what's going on with something in Phoenix City because we live in Columbus, or Macon or Atlanta because we weren't there. But now we have the global village, and there's no privacy. You know what if you want to find out about Bob in Boise, Idaho, you can find out about Bob in Boise, Idaho. So yeah, it's no privacy. Now the digital age is specialized electronic tribes. Are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you on, whatever? We get our little silos. And these are the social medias that I use, and these are my friends in that area. And when Facebook first came out, you had to be an educator. You had to have a .edu email address to get Facebook. And I kind of liked that. But then they opened it to everybody, and now I've got my friend's 8-year-old granddaughter wanting to be my friend on Facebook. It's like, no. Well, not anymore. Now they're using Instagram and TikTok and all that other stuff. So, but it's specialized electronic tribes. The Faustian bargain basically is selling your soul for something temporary in this world. So, we're giving away everything. We have no privacy on the internet. If we have this many social media accounts, then that many people can find out about us. And like I mentioned the other day, these people on LinkedIn contacted me wanting to hire me. And, I'm not sure yet if that was a scam or if they really have a job that they want me to hire me for. And so I'm treading softly because I don't want to sell my soul and give them everything they want and find out that you've been taken. So that's chapter 25. Chapter 26 is semiotics. Semiotics or semiology, depending upon if you're European or American, is the study of symbols, anything that can stand for something else, which is just about anything in communication. I mean, you could have the word dog written D-O-G. Well, dictionary definition says that it's a furry mammal with 4 legs and teeth. But some people might have a great fear of dogs. And when you say dog, they're thinking vicious Doberman Pinscher that wants to tear your heart out. And other people, they're happy places with their dog. And so when you say dog, they think of this happy, furry, cuddly thing that makes my day. So What does was I mean? So we study these different things. Okay, this is a symbol, but it doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. If you've ever looked at getting an international driver's license, there's like 200 and something signs on there. The one that the Americans have donated to the cause is the stop sign. That's universal now. All the countries have the same stop sign. So that means the same. But before this universal international driving test, or driver's thing, it was different countries had different halt. You know, different countries had different stop signs. So what is all this semiotics and sign and all that other stuff? The sign is the sum of the signifier and the significant. So, okay, you go, what the heck is that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because the signifier is the physical form we perceive it to be. The book talks about one very popular thing, the yellow ribbon. And be honest with you, I don't see it the way that the book describes it as we won, because I was of the generation when the song came out. Yes, 1972 was a long time ago. And that's the ribbon still means that to me. Welcome home, all is forgiven, not we kicked their butt. The signified is the meaning we associate with these signs. So the yellow ribbon, everybody sees the yellow ribbon, and when I see it, I associate with that yellow ribbon. My signifier is welcome home, all's forgiven, let's go, let's move forward. Whereas nowadays generation sees that yellow ribbon and they're signified, the meaning associated with it is we kick butt. The second order semiological system is the evolution of a sign. And the yellow ribbon is the one they use. It meant, first it was just a happy song, a good song, a love song. And it meant, welcome home, all is forgiven. Now, over time, with the continued use of it in different contexts, it has become known as we kick butt. Denotative sign system has no ideological content. The connotative sign system is a mythic sign which lost its historical significance. So, the yellow ribbon in this case does not have the historical significance it once had. Deconstruction, unmasking the contradictions, debunking. When you see something, you take it apart. If you watch Food Network, they talk about deconstructed meals. It means basically the same thing in every context. Take it apart, debunk it, get it into separate components, find out what's there. Ideology is presented as a common sense. So the ideology of so-and-so, you look at it, everybody agrees that this is what it is. It may not be true, but it's what we have agreed on culturally, that this is what this means. Symbolic signs have no resemblance and are culturally specific. This has no real significance. And it's culturally specific because in this, to us, okay. To other countries, it's the sign of you're an a-hole. So it really, it's a symbol, like I said, all ago, peace. It means whatever the culture has created it to mean. Iconic signs have a perceived resemblance, and the best examples are the onomatopoeia stuff like swoosh and bam and ring, bang. Those are perceived to resemble the sound is the word. Indexical signs are ones that basically have a real resemblance. You know, like where there's smoke, there's fire. You know, if you feel like you're hot, you're running a fever. If it's hay fever season, you walk outside and you're sneezing, you probably have hay fever. So that's chapter 26. Let's get through chapter 27, shall we? Cultural studies. I love culture. And the thing about culture is it's not something you can go to the store and get. You can't go get a gallon of culture. It's not tactile. You can't touch it. But I usually use the metaphor of a rubber band ball. Throughout your life, the different things you're exposed to culturally is like putting rubber bands on a ball. Each one changes the dimension, the density, and how it reacts to outside stimulus. And that creates your cultural sphere because of all the things that you've been exposed to culturally. So ideologies are mental framework creating a standpoint for different groups. We are not a homogenous society in the United States, nor is any other large country. And I get been out of shape a little bit when people group us all together as Americans. I mean, there's a lot that we agree on. But if you were a soldier, sailor, Marine, airman, you have a different standpoint than somebody that's never served in the services. If you are a mother, you have a different standpoint than a father. If you are a woman that doesn't have any children, you have a different standpoint than a woman that does have children, and a different standpoint than a man that doesn't have children. So we have these different standpoints. And ideologies is the mental framework that creates a standpoint for each different group. And we can all look at the politics nowadays, the elections coming on. We have so many people. I'm Democrat, I'm Republican, I'm independent, and they roughly we all want the same thing, but then the extremes in all three of those groups are pulling us all apart. So what mental framework do you use in your life to understand something? Democratic pluralism. I love this. The book talks about it's a myth that says basically society is held together by common norms, and that in theory, every time we elect somebody, we're going to elect the best person for the job, and it's going to get better each time. But we don't do that. So it's a myth. Articulate. We all know what articulate means, but to speak out and identify discrepancies is what they're talking about specifically in this chapter. Highlight the problems that the minority receives and get it into the media. Don't just say, well, that sucks, and go on about your business. What sucks? Why does it suck? How? Who's it affect? Cultural studies is a neo-Marxist critique on mass media that mass media basically creates the dominant ideologies. I was taking a different course years ago. We called him a gatekeeper. There's a person somewhere in that media that basically opens and closes the door for this information can be published and this can't. And who's that important to? The people that control it. Earlier I mentioned, don't go to South Columbus. It's dangerous in South Columbus. There's been a lot of drug busts and other things happened in Green Island Hills. But do you hear about them? Not normally. Why not? because the people that run the newspaper, the TV and radio stations either live there or are friends with people who live there, and they don't air their dirty laundry, shall we say. But they will focus the news on somewhere else. Economic determinism uh, basically says that human behavior is caused by the differences in financial resources. I mean, you just listen to the name, the word, phrase, economic determinism. If you grow up without money and you don't have money to better yourself, then you are not going to be as well off as somebody that has more money than they need or more money they know what to do with. I was working for the Columbus Cottonmouths and they had a jersey auction. You know, players' jerseys, game used auction, they raised money. And this one of their best players at the time, this kid wanted the jersey. Daddy bought the jersey for him. It turned out it cost Daddy like $1,800 for this jersey. Kid got the jersey, put it on, and went running down there, slid across the ice on his butt and the new jersey, and the jersey he just bought. You know, my mama would have tore me a new tail end if I'd a $10 shirt sliding like that. Much less that value. Um, so a lot of less affluent people can't afford that type of jersey or that want it. And tennis shoes, the name brand tennis shoes that sell for thousands of dollars. Why? But that's just my opinion. Hegemony is a subtle sway that societies have over, we have the haves and the have not. Well, hegemony is the sway that the haves have over the have nots. It's subtle. You don't normally see it because we've turned a blind eye to it for so many years. But right now the gap, it used to be we had a lower class, a middle class, and an upper class. And now we have a class and a super upper class that is growing. 40 years ago, the average CEO's pay was, I think, 40% higher than the average pay of their employees. Now, the average CEO pay is almost 500% higher than the average pay of their employees. So the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And if you sounds like I'm on a soapbox, I apologize. It's just the way the book talks about it and the way I've seen it. So discursive formation is ideologies created by unquestioning, seemingly natural interpretations. That's just the way it's always been. That's the way it is. We can't do anything about it. We work, they play, whatever the case may be. The source of news. Where does news come from? It comes from reporters, yeah, but the reporters work for a TV station. And who controls the TV station? Who's the gatekeeper? We already went over this once. Those in power control what news is on the air. Now, that's one advantage of having the internet with so many people. I could have my own news show if I want to, and I can put my own news out, and that's good because we can get a variety of stuff. The problem with it is people get in these silos, and they only listen to the news that they agree with. They don't listen to everything else. Individualism, an American myth. We pride ourselves on being individualistic and we have an individualistic society, and if you go get what you want, and it's all about you, and it's if you don't do it, it's your fault. And the stories that we see on TV, that the miraculous story and everything else, is because this one person they focus on. And I've seen politicians recently saying, I come from humble beginnings, but I've made this out of myself. But the thing is, honestly, they didn't make it by themselves. Somebody held the door for them somewhere. Ethnocentrism is basically summed up in my country's best, yours sucks. I mean, we all believe in the United States, but we aren't as great as we once were. We have a school system that lags behind many other countries. We have a medical system that lags behind other countries. So, but, America's the best. Well, I spent a lot of time in Germany. Germans say, no, Germany's the best. And I spent time in Kyrgyzstan, and Kyrgyzstan is great. So, ethnocentrism basically is pride about my country, and what we do is the right way to do it. I have found, though, that when I go to other countries, there's other countries that do things, I think, a lot better ways than we do. So I guess I'm not too ethnocentric. Democratic process should elect the best of the best. It should say this is the best person for this job. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people that will vote a ticket. I'm going to vote Democrat. I'm going to vote Republican. And not necessarily the best person for the job, but they are so set in their party ways that that's what they think is the best thing to do. I've never voted a party ticket in my life, at least not intentionally. I research it, find out who's the best, and that's what we need to do. And in theory, the democratic process, the best of the best will get elected, but it's not the way that it happens. And now when the media talks about the race and the election, objectivity comes into hand. I watch Fox, MSNBC, CNN, a few other news stations because I want to get different perspectives. And you would swear that they all didn't watch the same election or the same debate that was on, because nowadays to try to make sure that they have general audiences, it's on one hand, and on the other hand, they have to show both sides of it because they don't want to get sued, don't want to say anybody said they were prejudiced. And I mean, sometimes you need to see both sides, but other times it's kind of like, that other side is in there. I guess they're hoping that their other side, because, they might be on a different side than I am, but their other side, they're hoping sounds so ridiculous nobody's listening to it. But they have to show it because they don't want to get in trouble and get sued and be accused of being prejudiced media source. So that is the last of chapter 27. I hope that I've done a good enough job to give you an idea to help you understand it a little bit better. I hope the test wasn't too difficult. And if you notice, we started with like 4 chapters a week, and now we're down to 3. And we're getting close to the end of the semester. We all have more and more work to do. We'll be getting down to 2 a week. And one thing, make sure you look on Cougar View, because I explained the paper. Pick a theory and do research on that theory and write a paper on that theory. That's the paper part. The video part is you're going to be stuck like I am in front of a computer screen with a camera on you, and you are going to tell me about this great theory. So that's in the in Cougar View. It's also in the syllabus. So make sure you get that done. Start figuring out what theory you want to present. And do not cite this textbook. Now you go, there's a lot of great resources in here. But I want you to look up a theory and find other, it's called research. Look up a theory and find other stuff that we didn't cover. Okay? Have a great week. Bye, y'all.